mid-range smartphone category offers some incredible specs and hardware at an even more incredible asking price, and one of the new contenders to that category is this, the Redmi Note 9 Pro, and we're going to find out in this video if it's worth all the hype. You're watching me, EMKWAN, here on EMKWAN Reviews. Before we get into the video, if you're new around here, be sure to smash that subscribe button to see more video content like this. So let's take you through a quick unboxing. To begin with, we get the usual array, including a SIM ejector tool, we get some warranty paperwork information, and it's nice to see that Redmi Note 9 Pro still comes included with a silicone case, although it would have been nice to see a see-through silicone case. Anyway, delving down, we get the device itself with the usual array of specs on the top. We'll take a closer look at that in a moment. And then further down, we get a fast charger. We also get a USB-C to standard USB charging cable. So this is the device itself, and this is in the beautiful interstellar gray color. It also comes in a range of other colors, but taking a quick look around the device, on the right hand side you're going to notice the power button that also doubles up as a fingerprint scanner. Now this is really easy to both set up, but it's also incredibly fast to use, and it's a great position to put the fingerprint scanner as opposed to being on the back of the device, so I'm a big fan of that. Above that is the volume rocker on the right hand side. Then on the left, we basically get the dual SIM with the micro SD card tray. And then at the bottom, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack with the USB-C charging port and the speakers. Top, we have the IR blaster, in case any of you still use that, and also the microphone input there. So you have Gorilla Glass 5 on the back and the front, sandwiched between a plastic frame. Now on the back, you'll also notice that quad camera setup. We'll talk more about that and how it performs in a moment, but turning the device on the front, you'll notice a punch hole design front-facing camera. That's a 16 megapixel front-facing camera, and that is a 6.67 inch IPS LCD display. It's got a 1080 by 2400 pixels resolution, and for the most part the display is pretty nice. I think in normal lighting and indoors, and for the most part it's going to do a good job. But the only thing that I would have liked to see, and I noticed this when I was using this out and about or directly in the sunlight, is that display struggles a little. So it would have been nice to have a slightly brighter display. But in terms of using it, as I found with YouTube and playing games, for the most part that display did a reasonable job. Now as far as performance is concerned, this comes with 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. Depending on where you are in the world, this might be available in a 4GB RAM variation, but honestly I would recommend going with the 6GB variation, because coupled with the included Snapdragon 720G processor and the Adreno 618 GPU, you're going to get a much better combination in terms of performance and a longer lasting device that you can use with that 6GB of RAM. Now in terms of performance, I tested this out playing PUBG and graphic intensive gaming, as well as the usual multitasking, switching between apps, and I had no issues whatsoever. The device does get a little warm when you are playing graphic intensive games, but this is nothing unusual. I mean, flagship devices will also get warm when you are playing some of these graphic intensive games, so nothing to worry about there. Right out of the box, it runs Android 10 with MIUI 11. Some people would like MIUI. I mean, I've had no issues with this. It does come with some bloatware, something which is a little unfortunate, but in terms of the UI interface itself, it does a good job. I mean, there's small quirks that I really like on MIUI 11, and I think for the most part it is quite a nice, easy to use interface. Another thing worth mentioning is the impressive battery. So this packs a whopping 5020 milliamp hour battery. So I think for most people that's going to be more than enough to get you through a full day, even over a day if you are using this smartphone for majority of what most of us will use it for. In terms of fast charging, this comes with 30-watt fast charging capability, and right out of the box you get a 33-watt fast charger with the Redmi Note 9 Pro. So that's going to give you up to 60% charge in around about 30 minutes, which is pretty good. Next, let's talk about the camera, because this is another big standout feature on the Redmi Note 9 Pro. And to begin with, it's made up of a quad camera on the back. That comprises of a 64 megapixel main sensor, which is an f1.9 aperture. You have that paired up with an 8 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide, a 5 megapixel f2.4 for the macro, and then a 2 megapixel f2.4 for the depth. Images taken with that quad camera setup are pretty decent given normal lighting conditions. You'll notice that in the ultra wide there is some slight distortion in terms of color accuracy when you compare that with 1x and 2x, but for the most part, given just normal lighting conditions, I think the camera does a reasonable job. Something to note, however, is that you don't have much room for zoom, so you get a standard ultra wide 1x or 2x that you can choose from. Now, as far as nighttime shots are concerned, as you can see from some of these examples, it does a good job when you use it in the night mode itself. It is limited to 1x zoom in the night mode, but it does a good job in terms of the details, the accuracy, and also the color. Now, as far as video is concerned, here's an example of video that you can see, and I'm going to include a little clip with the audio for you to see as well. So this is what 4K at 30 frames per second looks like in video, as you can see from the quality here. One thing to note, however, is in ultra wide video mode, you're not going to be able to get 4K. It'll only record a maximum of 1080p at 60 frames per second. But if you want 4K, then that is available in 1x mode over here. Overall, I think it does a reasonably good job when it comes to image stabilization, color saturation as well. Overall, let me know in the comment section below what you think of the video quality. On the front, you've got a 16 megapixel f2.5 for the selfie, and that will record 1080p at 30 or 120 frames per second. Now, I think this is great, perfectly fine if you want to take selfie shots. The portrait mode works pretty well here as well, and you've got the usual array of customizations if you want to add beauty mode and so on. So the Redmi series of smartphones is synonymous for offering great specs and hardware with the asking price. And I think with the Redmi Note 9 Pro, it does exactly that. It's a great value smartphone, a mid-range smartphone in terms of what it offers. There are a couple of things, however, after having used it, that I would have liked to see improved when I compare it with other smartphones within this mid-range category. The first one would have to be that display. It would have been nice to see perhaps a 90Hz display, a slightly better display for the Redmi Note 9 Pro, as well as that, the quad camera on the back. I mean, it's a decent quad camera, again, at this price point, but a slightly improved camera with perhaps more control over zoom and better quality macro would have really added to the value proposition of the Redmi Note 9 Pro. But ultimately, it's still a great price for this device. Now, talking of price, it hasn't been officially announced as yet what the local pricing will be, but that should be available from the 1st of June. But I suspect it's going to be around about 1,000 dirhams, just slightly over 1,000 dirhams for the Redmi Note 9 Pro. All that information, once it goes live, will be here in the description bar, so do check back here on the video, or you can find more information on my Instagram stories as well. Let me know what you think of this device. Are you tempted to pick this up? In the comment section down below. Plus, if you're new around here, be sure to smash that subscribe button, hit like to see more videos like this. That's it from me for now. I'm EMKWAN with the Redmi Note 9 Pro. Until next time, peace and blessings.